Hey y'all, welcome to Your Drama, Not My Drama, where we gather to read Reddit stories about drama in other people's lives while we keep the drama out of our lives. If that sounds like your sort of thing, make sure you subscribe and like the video. Now, let's dive into our first story. The first story comes from the subreddit Am I Overreacting? And it says, Am I overreacting for snapping after years of being my husband's unpaid maid/mom? Throwaway because my husband knows my main. Been married 3 years. I make 70% of our household income, but somehow do 90% of everything else too. I work full time, handle all the cooking, most of the cleaning, all appointment scheduling, and planning literally everything from date nights to vacations. Meanwhile, my husband plays video games for 4+ hours daily. When I ask for help, he says he's, quote, tired from work. He works fewer hours than me, or claims he doesn't know how to do basic adult tasks. Last night, I snapped after coming home to a sink full of dishes, the one chore he's responsible for, while he was gaming. Told him I needed an actual partner, not another dependent. He called me controlling and said I'm emasculating him. I'm not asking for much, just basic adult participation in our shared life. His mom even took his side, saying I should, quote, appreciate having a husband at all. WTF? My mom says I deserve better. My sister says this is just how men are and I should be grateful he doesn't cheat. Am I crazy for wanting an equal partnership? No, ma'am, you are not crazy. Here's the thing, you have to let people know straight up. And I know that my partner knows that I don't expect to take care of him, but he's really like an independent, self-sufficient like leader, so he doesn't look to me for that type of thing. But I definitely let him know early on that I'm looking for someone to complement my life, not make it more challenging. But let's see what the folks in the comments have to say. User Ryan Cool says, I'm guessing you're young and your husband was one of the first few loves, if not the first. I didn't meet my wife until I was 36 and didn't get married until 42. We lived together for like 6 years before we got married, so I know all of her, how clean she is, what chores she's great at, which one she hates. We know that we both view relationships as a 50-50 endeavor. That means finances, mental tasks, and physical tasks are all split evenly. I knew this about her and had seen it in action for years before we decided to get married. I'm guessing you did not. When you're young, you feel like love should conquer all, but as you get older, you realize there are many things that can ruin an otherwise perfect relationship full of mutual love. Things like chores, as you're finding out, can take a toll over time that no amount of love can repair. As a couple, you need to be able to grow and change together. As we get older, we change less. This is why few relationships from people's 20s last their entire life. It's very easy when you are young to grow apart, to change in ways your partner may not be on board for. You need to talk to your husband and he needs to listen. If he loves you, he will hear what you are saying and make changes. If he does not, he won't. You have to decide what you would do for each outcome. Will you stay in a relationship where you're not satisfied for the rest of the only life that you get, or would you leave? Hopefully he changes and you don't have to decide that, but I prepare for it nonetheless. There are no magic words you can say to fix this, only communication. Fast Morning 1783 says, this is such a mature take. Love it isn't enough when you're drowning in resentment from doing all of the work. Hope OP's husband wakes up before it's too late. User AFib says, change your mindset. It isn't him, quote, helping you out. Half the work is his. Make it clear that he needs to do half the work. Set expectations. Does he live there, eat off the dishes, wear the clothes? Then he needs to clean it. What would he do if you weren't living there? Well, it sounds like to me his mama would be the one doing the work for him since she's defending his poor behavior. But let's carry on. You're not his maid/mother. Seems like he's using feigned incompetence to get you to do the work. He's using you. But with men, you can catch more flies with honey. You can give him incentives like tell him you will make his favorite meal tonight while he cleans the bedroom. Don't ask, just tell. Then praise the heck out of him when you do see him do anything remotely like cleaning. This is so annoying to me. Treat him like a child is basically the advice she's giving. Ignore him when he games, and though in those days say, I'm too tired for sex because I had to clean the house. Give it 2 months, then if he doesn't change, you can stop doing his laundry, dishes, and cooking for him. Tell him he needs to do half the work and put a date in your mind like X months. If that doesn't work, set up marriage counseling. If he wants to change, he will. Otherwise, go stay in a hotel or leave him, and he will realize his mistakes. It's only been 3 years of marriage. I highly suggest at least a year of training this man in marriage counseling. People give up on marriage so easily, and you might regret if you jump to divorce so easily. See, I would be annoyed and turned off if I had to mother my partner. So this advice would not work for me. Or bribe him. Like, you don't get sex unless you clean up. What is this? User Not a Lot of Nice says, your sister is absolutely delusional. Grateful he doesn't cheat? Excuse me? WTF is she on? And I agree, that bar is pretty low. She goes on to say, I'm going to say go ahead and make it equal. Bro is so masculine that he can't do chores. He gets to pay all of the bills from now on. Keep your money, sis. He's the provider now. Option 2, roommate up, pay half and stop doing anything for him. He can do his own laundry, he can buy and make his own food, he can handle himself and his half of the bills while you do the same. You clean up after yourself and he does the same. If he doesn't, put it on his side of the bed, on top, in front of his gaming setup, in his vehicle, or just straight in the garbage. His family is his problem and roommates aren't usually intimate. I did a light version of this once after years of my concerns being dismissed and ignored. My spouse was not happy and wanted to discuss a compromise immediately. I told him they could wait until I was ready since I had to do the same for so long. We had a come to Jesus talk that drastically changed our relationship because I made it very clear that I was so fed up I was now willing to roommate up at any time. The only reason he doesn't care is because it doesn't negatively impact him much. Time for you to stop making his life so easy since he obviously doesn't appreciate it at all. Good luck. User Leather Challenge 446 says, you married an eternal teenager. He is not committed to the relationship and he probably wants to stay in it because he's comfortable and gets away with doing next to nothing because you're an excellent provider and a substitute mom. Of course, he will get mad when you set limits. How dare you? You're only to think about him and his needs because you don't matter to him and your feelings even less. By the way, your mother-in-law probably is the one to blame for who your husband has become. Agreed. You might try couples therapy, but I doubt he will change, and putting up with someone just not to be alone is not worth it. Of course, you deserve more. You are not asking for too much. You are only asking the wrong guy. You need a real grown-up that is committed, appreciates you, and thinks you are as important. Do you really think your husband will man up? Think real hard what you want and need for you because you matter, and you have to become your own priority. It sounds to me like you will be better off without him. And as they say, once you realize you're going in the wrong direction, it is better to get off the train sooner. Otherwise, it will take you longer to get on the right track. Very true. I do think she needs to lay down the law before she decides to leave him. But what do you guys think? Are you also pulling all of the weight in your home? In addition to bringing the breadwinner, does your husband game without regard for anything else in life? Let me know in the comments. Guys, this next post is going to be a little different, but it caught my eye and I want to go over it with you. So let's dive in. It comes from the subreddit Influencers in the Wild. The title says, the rumors about Nara Smith, her family having really bad BO, are true. So if you don't know who Nara Smith is, she is an influencer that you can find on TikTok. I believe she is part South African and she's married to a conservative guy, so they're a conservative family, and she does everything from scratch. She makes like toothpaste, she forages for her food supposedly, and there's also been some controversy about her basically taking her style lead from another South African woman. I don't believe Nara lives in South Africa, so I think she gets paid for her content, whereas the South African influencer says they don't get paid for their TikToks. So she was coming for Nara for copying her and not crediting her, but also benefiting off of her style. So let's dive in. Sat near Nara Smith and her family out in public recently at a local eatery, and yeah, the BL rumors are unfortunately true. It wasn't subtle either. Definitely noticeable even from a bit of a distance. It had that using deodorant for days kind of vibe. Natural lifestyle or not, it was beyond rough. My little sister wanted to move to a different table because it was so bad, but my parents said no because they didn't want to seem rude. They should have moved. I mean, they're being rude by making other people smell them. But anyway, I know some people are into the no fragrance thing because of allergies and sensitivities, but this was just something else. It was so potent and in your face, just putting it out there for anyone still wondering. That's gross, especially trying to eat and having that mouth breathe, meaning not breathing through your nose because you're trying not to smell, but it's also somehow hard to breathe through your mouth when you know you're inhaling BO. It's very interesting. But let's see what the comments say. Old Mystic says, not gonna lie, she does seem like the quote air bath type. And then Public Boogaloo says, what in the world is an air bath? And someone responds, I don't know, but it's anything like air guitar, then it's incredibly inadequate means of hygiene. OMG for real says, as someone who no fragrance for allergies, there's plenty of deodorant out there without it. Someone said, I use a salt crystal for deodorant. It's fragrance free, doesn't cause me to get incredibly painful boils in my armpits, and the best part is that I don't stink. Guys, I just don't think it's that hard to bathe and not be funky. You have to consider others. User DJ Larry Quest says, I didn't know how much I needed this post, but it made my day a little brighter. Thank you. Joe Joking 99 says, thank you. Not all heroes wear capes, because I always wondered if that girl who said first on TikTok was telling the truth. Flat Influence 4977 says, on a scale of from 0 to 10, how's that stench? Like, was it sour, rank, funky? I'm just trying to get a hold onto the scent because appearances can really warp reality. She's wearing designer pieces and stinking in real life. OP says, definitely sour. The closest thing I can think of that it reminded me of was one time the gym at my high school lost power during the summer volleyball camp, and therefore the AC stopped working, and almost none of the boys' team wore deodorant. That's disgusting. And yes, looks are deceiving because she, quote, looks clean, if you will. Like she always looks so well put together and stylish, prim and proper, but smelling like a mule is wild. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Do you wear natural deodorant? Are you sensitive to odors or fragrances or both? Let me know in the comments, and remember to be drama free. Until next time.